Hello and welcome to a new episode of EBIS podcast. My name is Caroline Hochstraat and I'm sitting right here in the Estonian embassy next to Marika in Linntam. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm really happy to be a guest at your podcast.
Amazing. Would you like to tell us something about yourself? What are you doing and what are you doing here in Berlin?
I am a bit more than a year now Estonian ambassador to Germany, and this is of course a role that I'm taking with a lot of honor and responsibility, as Germany is one of the main partners and allies for Estonia. And Germany's role in Europe, it's so important. I have worked in the Estonian Foreign Service since 2001. My background is law and European law in particular. I have studied it a little bit in Germany, in Trier, in some courses, but a longer master course I did in France, and I focused on Europe throughout my career. Times been posted to Brussels also during the Estonian presidency of the European Union. And before that, I was the state agent of Estonia before the European Court of Justice. So I have done quite various different things. However, since 2014, I would say security issues are a big part of the work of, I think, any European diplomat and definitely any Estonian diplomat. I have, of course, focused a lot also on security, as this is just so fundamental. Just before coming to Germany, I was 5 years Director General for Europe, so for the bilateral relations with European countries, the main EU policies in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Estonia.
Okay, wow, such a great way of becoming an ambassador. What would you say were the biggest milestones and the biggest challenges in your career path?
The biggest milestones, I think, always are evolving around the bigger postings. So being posted to Brussels, where you can describe it a little bit also as the Brussels bubble of dealing with the EU affairs. You can really be very close to all the top topics that the heads of state are also discussing. But of course also being responsible for the relations with other European countries in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was very interesting, and it was an honor to carry that role. And being posted here in Germany as ambassador is of course a very important milestone.
You already talked about responsibility. How would you say, how do you deal with the responsibility of being a diplomat?
I do like my job. So responsibility is something that I take coming with it. I hold the international relations of any country, but of Estonia in particular, as a very important part of its role in the world. I'm really happy and really honored that I can contribute to this.
How would you describe your experiences as a woman in the career field, or especially in the diplomatic international field?
I can say that for me, I think it has not been very decisive in the sense that in the Estonian Foreign Service, we do have, all in all, quite a good gender balance. And also in my different postings, I have really not seen a big difference between being either a male or female diplomat.
I'm super happy for that. When we talk about Estonia, how would you describe your country in 3 words?
Innovative, digitalized, and beautiful.
Beautiful, okay, wow.
You mean the people and the landscape? I meant especially the landscape.
Yeah.
I was searching for the word, how to put it in one word. That's very challenging. So it's something I came up with, but I really think that Estonia is a great destination for tourism because of its nature. There's a very long coastline, a lot of islands. 2,000 islands, but let's say most of them, of course, are not inhabited, but many are, and they're very interesting to discover. And the marshlands and forests and lakes, they are all very beautiful to discover. And of course, the people are friendly as well. Maybe the people in the north are, some say, they don't open up so quickly as in some countries, but I think all in all, we are very welcoming and friendly to all the guests and friends.
You already talked about digitalization. In Europe, we say you're really a pioneer on this field. how would you say, how did this evolve? And could you tell me a bit more about your government?
Estonia became independent again after the Soviet occupation in 1991. It had been independent before from 1918 until the Second World War, and then it was illegally annexed into the Soviet Union. And well, when it became independent again, its economy was not in a good state. It was very clear that we have to go through deep reforms. There was, I would say, a foresight in our leaders who also saw that we need to go a step ahead. Already in the 90s, we started a Tiger Leap program, which evolved having computer classes in all schools and having it as part of the curriculum, that children would get to know the IT world. From there, we have evolved also very strongly in e-government. So in Estonia now, almost 100% of government services are available online. So they are digitalized. The only exception to that remains getting married, but everything else one can do online with one's ID card, which enables us to sign digitally in a verifiable and secure manner. This is, I would say, a great advantage for Estonia. And the public sector has really gone in advance here. Step by step, of course, not everything was digitalized at once. Private sector has benefited from this a lot. And of course, sometimes it's the private sector also who drives the reform. And in Estonia, we have a very strong startup community. And this general entrepreneurial attitude is very strong, and innovation is very strong, which also maybe explains how we have the highest number of unicorns per capita in Europe. This is something that I think works really well in Estonia. We have also shared our experience a lot with other countries. We see that the way forward is going together, also forward with the European legislation. And also here a lot has been achieved, but a lot, of course, still can be done, because if we want the European economy to be really competitive, we see that we cannot allow ourselves not to use the potential of the digital technologies and also artificial intelligence, of course, in a secure manner. We always need to think how we do this so that all the important security aspects are also taken care of.
Before we come to the aspect of cybersecurity, I would ask you to describe the political domestic situation at the moment.
So in Estonia, we have a parliamentarian state and we have a coalition government. We have a tradition of coalition governments. This government now is comprised of liberal and social democratic parties. There's the traditional Liberal Reform Party, there's the Social Democratic Party, and there's Estonia 200 Party. We have as head of government our Prime Minister, and we have our President, who also has an important role in, for example, international contacts and, of course, within the country as well. We would not have much to add. I mean, it's a stable parliamentarian state. If you have any more specific questions, then...
Yeah, and it's more about the atmosphere in the country, the atmosphere between the people. How would you say is a political stability at the moment?
So I think that is very much there, yes. Estonia is very strong, for example, when it comes to charts on media freedom or the sense of being satisfied with the state, good country index, many other indexes which are never probably kind of 100% the whole country, but which still show quite a lot. Transparency and all that just is very strong in Estonia.
Could you explain cybersecurity?
Yes, cybersecurity, of course, is the other side of the coin of digitalization. We had in Estonia quite a strong wake-up call already in 2007 when we had strong cyber attacks from our eastern neighbor, Russia. And we saw that we need to really take care of all the vulnerabilities. After that, we built our cybersecurity system up strong. We have the NATO Center of Excellence for Cybersecurity situated in Tallinn in Estonia. We have been active in discussions on this in order to strengthen the cybersecurity and the information exchange in the European Union, other organizations, also in the United Nations, when Estonia was a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Then in 2021, we also initiated a first discussion, actually, about this. We have seen that it is important that we stand for responsible state behavior and of course, the application of international law also in cybersphere.
I would like to dive a bit deeper into this. You already talked about Russia. You share a border with Russia. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, how would you describe your relationship with Russia? And how would you describe your relationship with Russia right now under the aspect of the Ukrainian war?
It is in Estonian interest to have good relations with its neighbors. But of course, that depends on the other side as well.
Yeah.
For Estonia, it has been very strong that we belong to the European Union, to NATO, in both already since 20 years. In 2004, we joined both the European Union and NATO. Whenever we see steps from our eastern neighbor towards other countries, then of course this is a big concern. Now, when Russia annexed a part of Ukraine in 2014, there was the Crimean Peninsula and also went in Donbass, then this was a big concern for us, of course, because this meant that European security was, as a whole, under a question mark. And when Russia started its full-fledged war in February 2022, then it was very clear for us that we have to, with all that we have, support Ukraine so that Ukraine can win this defensive war against Russia's aggression. We believe it is very dangerous for the whole rules-based world order when Russia, as a permanent member of UN Security Council, who should be standing for UN Charter and all of its principles, has now violated these principles really terribly, has violated also the OSCE principles. If in such a situation Russia would get away with this aggression, a war of aggression, and would win something with it, then for the whole international community this would be very worrisome.
How would you describe the relevance of NATO in this scenario or in this situation right now?
For Estonia, it is very important that we are part of NATO. As I said already, more than 20 years. We are also contributing ourselves to the defense and deterrence. So Estonia's defense expenditure is also 3.4% now. We deem it very important that all NATO countries do more. We see a need, especially in Europe, to do more. This will be a big discussion, I'm sure, also at the Hague summit this summer.
Since 2004, you're part of the European Union. In your opinion, do you think it's a great idea to strengthen the defense of the European Union, to create something as a defense sector of the European Union?
Well, NATO is the organization for our collective security.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we see that European Union also can contribute to our collective security with, for example, helping the defense industry in Europe be on a stronger footing. Of course, in the area of hybrid threats, which are really manifold and need our resilience in very different areas where also the European Union has a lot of competencies. For the European Union, there definitely also is a role in our security, but without undermining the role of NATO at the same time.
When we go deeper into the European Union, how would you describe your role in the European Union, the role of Estonia?
Being now 20 years in the European Union, I would say Estonia is a very constructive country, as we have more or less always been successful enough in the negotiations so that they are also suitable for us. And we engage in them a lot. And we also seek areas where we can lead and give our contribution, for example, in the areas of digitalization and cybersecurity.
How do you think the European Union should face the problematic of migration, big migration waves?
I think it is very important that European Union together defines these policies and takes the views of different member states into account here. And the European Union has done quite a lot here. I'm sure this will also continue as it is an important area.
As you are an ambassador in Germany right now, how would you describe the relationship between Estonia and Germany?
Estonia and Germany have very close relations. They are built on already historic ties from the times of Hanseatic Union. But of course, they are especially founded on the common values, common principles, which are also all embedded in the European Union and NATO membership. Estonia is, I would say, as integrated as a country can be in Europe, in Schengen, in Eurozone, in the OSCE, OECD. So we are everywhere together with Germany. This means a lot to us. We see that Europe needs Germany, its strongest country and biggest economy, also to be strong so that European competitiveness can grow and so that we can also increase the European capabilities in defense and deterrence when it comes to security.
What would you say are your aspirations as a diplomat for Estonia here with Germany?
We have with Germany a lot of visits and common initiatives, and I think that speaks about the close relations that we have. And my wish is that this would only continue and be ever stronger.
Thank you so much. Before we end the interview, maybe one last question. Which advice would you give young people, and especially young women, who are interested in building a career in international relations or as a diplomat?
I have known many great diplomats in Estonia and in other countries whom I deem great diplomats, and they have all had very different paths in their career, and also personalities are different. So I would say follow your own path is really important. There are many different areas also within international relations and that one can concentrate on. And it's important to find the one that you are really interested in. That helps you to commit to it maybe more and be more inspired. And that is very important to me when it comes to international relations. You must really like this work.
Yeah. Do you like your work?
I do like my work. Otherwise, it would not be possible really to. This is so great to do there.
Thank you so much for the interview, and thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you very much for your interest, and all the best.
Enjoyed this talk? Dive into her work by checking out her magazine and our blog. And to support her research, consider becoming a member. We would be delighted to have you on board. Thank you, and see you next time.